Welcome to Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. Backed by popular demand is the intrepid Drake Bailey for another question and answer session. You may want to make some popcorn and buckle your seatbelt. This one will be another wild ride. Here is your host, Gail of Gaia, with her guest, Drake Bailey.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, and we're here again with Drake Bailey. How you doing, Drake?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm just crazy as ever.
I know, I love it. Wild, 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 right?
Yeah.
What kind of wild ideas can we talk about today? I heard you say something about parallax.
About who?
Parallax? Not to be confused with X-lax.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding.
Parallax is the transition in physics, and I will go through that on my show later. It's intense, but
Okay, sounds complicated.
well, I put it in simplistic form so that people can, understand what's going on. And it's not like the Matrix, but it is a natural evolutionary process of dimensional ascension. Ooh, you ascend to a higher dimension in a transitional form in such a manner that a whole bunch of things happen at all the same time. Aches and pains. You get out of the 3D test tube horse hockey into something that doesn't squeeze. Let's squeeze them, see what comes out. We don't have that. Well,
I can't wait. I think a lot of people feel the same way. Get us out of here, please.
you get older or you do too much or whatever, you feel it. In 4D, you don't. And that's a big aging processes are reversed considerably. Our natural lifespan of 1,800 years approximately is restored. Our genetics are repaired under that same process because they're already in there. They go ahead and fix everything else. I'm trying to think here. And we will very rapidly do away with the monetary systems we're familiar with.
Yeah, people have a hard time with that. They don't understand how we could function or live without it. But
it's real simple. Okay, Star Trek covered it. Go to the Star Trek websites and look up 25th century society, and it gives you a very good explanation as to what you're going to be looking at. We're not going to be under control, but we will be under a very primary socialist type system that has worked for millions of years all over the galaxy. So,
people get real scared when they hear that word socialist.
Well, it's the only description that we've got of the system, okay? What it means is that you're not going to have the personal pride of the fat bank account because you were smarter than everybody else. That's going, okay? Then what happens is you have choices, all right? One of the choices that will happen is a test similar to what you find in any really good technical college, where they ask you about your talents, what you've done, and what you'd like to do, and do you have any talents in that direction and all this. What it boils down to is that they told me I could be about anything I wanted to be.
Well, wouldn't anybody be able to be whatever they wanted to be? I mean, you could just download what you wanted to be or something like that nature.
No, it doesn't quite work like that. It's close. In other words, what they'll do is they'll match your capabilities and experiences, personality, to a generalized area. Then within that area, they'll start picking and choosing and asking you questions in that. In other words, if you are prone to be such as I am, an informationalist, then it boils down to what benefit that would be to all of humanity. That's the same thing they're going to do with everybody. What benefit? You might make plastic widgets. You get tired of making plastic widgets, and they might change them into something different, just to keep your interest. Okay. Well,
this isn't like a job or anything like that, because that's another thing that people.
It's more like a career, something you found that you really like and you want to do. And if you have any talent in that direction, then you will have a combination of information and schooling and whatever provided to you in order to be successful in what you're doing. Okay. The success is measured by how well you perform whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. It does
your
not.
Natural talents are brought forth, and you're doing something that you love to do, which isn't really work then, correct?
Well, something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Things vary, and the variations are pretty extraordinary because, as you know, each one of us got different fingerprints, so that means each one of us is a little bit different than the other one. What this does is you have a large amount of people who have talents in areas, and this is neat. There may be 3, 4, 5 different areas that you would have a talent or experience with to some extent. If, and this is not a big if, this is if or as these things fit or can be correlated together, you come out with something that is interesting because it may be in a totally different direction than you thought. You might get to design spaceships instead of painting pictures. You don't know, and that's the neat
I might
part.
be a pilot.
Yeah, well, I've already had some piloting schooling, and it's intense when you go from 2D. Now that's backwards and forwards and left and right, and to when you add up and down. Oh boy, do things change.
Well, is there anything new galactically that we?
Yeah, we ran off the last of the attempted incursions into the safe areas here. Let's see here. As I have expressed, the human frequency is going nuts, and there's a reason for that. It has to get to a certain level before it can change the basic waveform from 3D to 4D. It does that. There's a whole bunch of precursors or things that happen before you actually get to the meat of the issue. And one of those is the human frequency getting to a certain level so that it can then alter its waveform. That's the neat part. A lot of people don't even know it's got a waveform. They think it's just a simple vibration. Yeah, right, okay.
Well, what is it, Drake? What is it?
What?
Explain waveform.
Well, everybody knows what a sine wave is. Goes up and down and back up.
Yeah.
You see for electricity in the house. Waveform, and I don't have any examples right off the top of my head other than
I just think of something that's going like this. Wave.
What you might want to take a look at used to be broadcast technology was it. And in broadcast technology, and I'm going to say TV because it's the easiest. Everybody's seen an old broadcast TV, rabbit ears or something on the roof. In that, and that's kind of basic, think in terms of 17,000 plus waveforms, each doing a different job, okay? Now, in the newer technology, try 34,000 minimum. That's minimum, okay? In terms of the differential between dimensions, there's a 1D, 2D, 3D, and 4D, and on up. Each one has several critical points to it. One is the vibratory level is different, but the manner of the expression of that vibratory level is not just a simple plane geometry representation you see on a screen that goes like this. It gets into taking that flat diagram and making it three-dimensional and applying the fourth dimension, which is duration. Duration means, very simply, Excuse me. I had chills. Duration is very simply the amount of time that something remains in its original form, such as wood, plastic, metal, whatever. Each one of those is different. The waveform and what is known as the atomic vibratory physics involved is different for each one of the items. Depending on how much plastic you got in this, depends on the waveform and how it vibrates.
Wow. Okay.
So it's not simple, and I'd rather not get into any further detail in that. But now you're aware as to some of what it takes in terms of the involvement of nature itself. Now, the thing about the transition is that it is a natural progression of nature. Some people think that it has to do with Lord, I can't think of the word. Darwin's theory of evolution, which it does and it doesn't. It's different. This is high level evolution, not low level. In other words, you ain't going to grow gills or fins.
I never bought into that anyway, because it was how come we don't still have people turning from monkeys into people? That doesn't make any sense.
It's not that wasn't really exactly how it happened. There's a big space in there. They're looking for the missing link. You've heard that. Oh, the missing link, the one that goes from a gorilla or chimpanzee to human. Okay, well, the problem is it don't exist. It got dumped in the trash of the laboratory where they created us. Now, when I say they, this was a very specifically designated and chosen panel of very high-level beings who knew not only what they were doing, but how to go about it. Sometimes it got hurried up, and that's where you get lesser than people. And some of the creational laws were not followed as correctly as they should have been. And we ended up with giants and all kind of crazy things. Then they had the mad scientists, all right, people like me, who take things and just see if they can do it. Put a horse's head on a horse's ass and see what happens, right? You take a two-legged horse's head, put a horse head on. Anyway, the interesting thing of this was some 250,000 mutations, and I'm going to use the word mutations liberally. Covers it all. In the about the 12th and 13th centuries, those who were in power decided that they couldn't have talking horses or animals that talk. Now, and I'm talking intelligently. I'm not talking about parroting. I'm talking about intelligent conversation. Okay. Therefore, they went about systematically euthanizing everything they could find of that nature, whether it was funny looking or different or whatever, didn't matter. And they pretty much wiped them all out.
Wow. I understand there's a number of different beings there, like lion beings and elephant beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about tiger beings? Have you ever heard of tiger beings?
Yeah, all of the crazy things you can think of. The situation then became that these rogue people that decided they were all that and could do such things with impunity found out that the higher level people didn't take too kindly to that, and so consequently these people right now are basically on a prison planet. Now, that does not mean that it is just turned loose. It does not mean that it is the ideology that we have of a prison planet. It merely means that that communication with the outside is limited, and they cannot have anybody visit without specific permission and paperwork, and nobody but nobody gets to leave. It's kind of like Hotel California, check in, but you can never leave, or check out, or however that works. So, that has been pretty much taken care of. The problems that they're having right now are primarily dealing with not giving humanity too much of a shock test. If ET landed all over the place, ooh, we're being invaded, get the shotgun. They don't want that. It's hard to give out packages when somebody's shooting at you. It is really a bummer trying to do that. So what they're trying to do is get people basically aware, not only that they're there, but they're here to help. And there is not any governmental mentality in it. Nothing. Okay, this is straight up assistance from a low level to a much higher one. So that's going to be coming out. I understand there's going to be an interview soon, and that's going to really be interesting.
An interview of ETs? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I've got a tentative okay to go ahead and go on the Tonight Show with an ET. And
that happens pretty soon.
Well, they're going to do exactly what I said. Now, you got to remember, these guys are like, on average, 7 foot tall or taller. That's first. Number two, they wear a cloak. It's got a hoodie all the way to the floor. The fun part about it is that this ET will answer questions, mostly. Now, there's some that not even the interviewee will talk about, just the same way I am. I'm not going to screw something up. Okay. Now, the fun part is that they're looking at thinking that I had a fairly good idea in terms of ET turning around to me and saying, I think I've answered most of the questions. I said, okay, so we're done. And ET would say yes. And I would say, okay, guys, beam him up, Scotty. And they beam him up right through the friggin' roof into the ship, and off they go, which would leave me standing on a stage, kind of naked to everybody, really. But I would get to answer further questions if I could. Oh, we want to talk to ET. Well, he left. It's hard to talk to somebody at a distance of several light years. You really got to be loud to do that.
Well, the idea is to desensitize people to the concept of.
Well, to let them know, first of all, absolutely that we are not alone. That's first. Number two, that ET is amenable. Now, this guy's got combinational sense of humor that is part ET and part human. And the fun part about it is that a lot of the jokes will resonate. Now, what I think's neat is that everybody's heard the hillbilly joke. Hold my beer and watch this. Well, ETs have a capability of, let's say, levitation, for one of a better. Now, think about the guy floating up in the air, ooh, and then floating back down. Ooh. See, told you I was ET and could do stuff, Yeah, and that will go over real well. The ideology is to do some demonstrative things that can be invoked in a very humorous way. Humor cuts through all the horse hockey. Okay.
Yeah, it does. That's a great idea.
So my idea was to see about having them on a Tonight Show, and we're going to see. I think I have to wait until they finally make their decision. If they do make their decision in my favor, this is going to be fun.
Now, will this happen before or after the transition?
Before. We got to get people used to the idea that ET is not a bad guy per se. Okay, yeah, they're superior. Well, what could that much of a superior thing want with us? Oh, I don't know. Maybe they can't make sauerkraut and they like ours. Pick something. It don't matter how ridiculous it might be. The ideology of being able to cook is foreign to most ETs. And most of us can cook to some extent. It might not be too good, but we can fry something up or whatever.
Just practice, you know.
Yeah, well, somebody came up with a thing at an official dinner once of boiled eyeballs, and they wouldn't tell me where the eyeballs come from. And I looked at that and I said, I don't want any. But that's a delicacy. I said, well, you jump in with all the delicacy you want. Get the shovel out and have at it. I don't want any.
Exactly. Kind of reminds me of the monkey brains one time I saw in some movie. Oh, the very idea.
Well, I have had sandwiches made out of certain fried internal things. That was actually very good. I have had grasshoppers, if they're cooked right, are really good. They really are. Tastes like a roasted almond. Everybody says you gotta eat bugs in order to survive. That's not the case. The case is simple. The nutcases who say we got to quit eating meat are just that. Until we progress, and that's going to be about around 6D, higher 5 or 6D, to where we don't need that anymore. That's different. But we're talking a few thousand years yet.
Well, there are a lot of people that don't eat meat right now.
No.
Yeah, by choice. Because of the love of animals is a large part of it.
Well, there was a quickie article in the, let's see, what is it? The thing with Burger King, I can't think of that. The plant-based Burger King fake meat deal. Now, what he did was he took a bite of the meat from a regular Whopper. Nom, 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 nom. He said it had the same basic cardboard qualities as most fast food restaurants. Wasn't pretty good, but it was there. He took a bite of the straight up bite of the patty. Can't believe it's not meat burger or whatever it was. And he said that the texture was close enough. The taste was okay at first, but it was the aftertaste that got him. And he explained that it had this rather strange chemical quality to it. And he didn't want to eat any more of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. They add chemicals to stuff all the time, and that's not the purpose of stopping to eat meat. Isn't to eat chemicals. It's
you know what it is, don't you? That fake meat is genetically modified yeast. Ooh,
that's nasty. I wouldn't eat that. Yeah.
Well, I'm
vegetarian. And I'm not ashamed of it.
Yeah. But the thing is, chemically produced tofu has an odd aftertaste.
I don't eat tofu either.
Well, what I'm saying is, so by the time you get done with this whatever it is, you end up with a rather strange or odd take on it. Your body's going, you ate that? What's wrong?
Yeah, well, they have some very bad imitation things, just like some of the so-called gluten-free foods. They actually are made from corn base, which is frequently. I forgot to shut off the phone. Corn base as GMO corn. So you think that you're getting something better, and you're really not.
I forgot something. You
got to be so careful.
There we go. Now I can't have any phone calls until I'm done.
Yeah, I forgot to shut mine off. Sorry.
You want to solicit for this? All these people just want your money. That's all it is. But anyway,
so many calls that are just, yeah, exactly. They want your money. They want to sell something. They want you to buy something.
Yeah, a whole bunch of botheration BS.
Yeah.
We call it static in terms of getting things accomplished. Now, we got all that going on with ET and everything, and they're just about done with the updating and filling the coffers or whatever you want to call them on the moon. So that project's pretty much finished. In other words, they've got maybe they got a few motherships yet that need to come in and unload. Mothership is huge. And by that I mean like think half a mile in across and a mile and a half long, and you get the picture. That's huge by anybody's standards. Okay, so
That's big.
the thing here, the thing going on the ground is interesting. Now, I decided to check out those so-called hearings.
So-called what?
Huh?
So-called what?
Hearings.
Oh,
We're going to check on MP.
yeah, okay. What happened?
Well, what happened was a whole lot of nothing. I watched about 3 minutes of it, and I said, you know, it was so boring that I decided to watch Sesame Street instead. Seriously, anyway, what you have is a problem. The two main witnesses that were going to sink Trump's boat heaved up and regurgitated a whole bunch of hearsay. That's it. Oh, I heard from a guy. Where'd he heard from? Another guy. Where'd he heard from? Oh, that guy was on the phone. Ooh, need to plug a phone line into somebody's ear or up their nose or something. I mean, anyway, the whole of it is very simple. Every precedent in any legal format on the planet, I'm talking globally now, refuses to allow hearsay as admissible evidence, period. So they wasted their time with the hearsay yesterday.
Yeah, now, I agree. It should be that way, but in a lot of places it's not.
Yeah. So what I'm looking at is, well, no, there's a problem in there. There's a fly in the ointment called Attorney General Barr.
Mm-hmm. Good. I hope so, because I've seen it before with other people.
All of that, and I said all of that is about to change.
Good.
Anyway, the situation in terms of politics, well, everybody, and I'm talking about Democrats included, are hollering about, we are not doing anything. We're not doing any legislation in the House. We need to get down to business. We need to, get done with this horse hockey and get her done. And guess what? They still ain't doing nothing. Why? Pelosi's got the hammer. Well, I heard a rumor about Pelosi being removed. And the reason being is that she's not abiding by the oath to create, adjust, allocate, and designate. Those are the four basic things that a representative is supposed to do, according to their oath of office. Mm-hmm. They have all who have not objected and said, no, we're not doing this, abided by their oath of office. Mm-hmm. However, after that comedy yesterday, now all of a sudden the moderate Democrats. Now this is somebody who goes with the ideology of some of the Democratic platform, but not near all of it, and that's a big exception. One of the things is that they are the majority of Democrats. Number two, they're tired of this horse hockey. Number three, they're putting together an effort to put a stop to it or remove the people that are doing it.
Now that sounds like an answer to a problem. When you think about it, there are violations of oaths of office across the board in all kinds of areas.
Yeah. So, as in as in your son's case, as an example, the validation of the information being used against him would be primary. Oh, you saw that person, huh? Yeah. Then you have somebody that has the same kind of haircut, general features and all that, in a hoodie, go running across the courtroom. Oh, it's all right. I'll be back. I'll get you. Oh, really? Who was that? We got the main man sitting on the, and yet he was out there running. What's my? Can you identify? That was him. That was him. Number two, the falsification of evidence by the police has gotten rampant. There are about 500 indictments that I know of for varying law enforcement people, federal marshals, FBI agents, CIA agents, NSA agents, police in the Homeland Security Division. Oh, guess what? They're getting ready to stomp it out. Very simply, Barr has said, I got you, and I got the information. Now, y'all want some fun and games about that impeachment horse hockey? A certain person that's supposed to be the chairman lied about a bunch of things. He met with the whistleblower, so he knows who it is. Whoops. He helped the whistleblower, and this is the funny one. He helped the friggin' whistleblower write the complaint. Oh, we got to do this in a certain way so that we can get it. So between that problem, those kinds of problems, and the fact that there is no case, everybody that decided to play games here has done two things. First, they're taking on Trump, a sitting president. That is a serious deal. Well, what's even worse is that during the process from here to here, in the middle, they have found that they actually are going after the office of the president. What that means is that is heavy treason. So, and Barr has documentation. Oops. So therefore, you can expect certain people to do time, to include Schiff, Pelosi, and a whole bunch of others. Now, this does not exclude the people that put them up to it. The money given to the DNC to get that dossier and all that. Yeah, okay. Well, the not only the individuals involved, but also any of the companies, financial institutions, et cetera, who assisted. Oops. They're going to, they're liable to be absconded with and dragged, just hollering and screaming right back to the US of A and thrown in one of these treason cells. Now, treason cell ain't nice. Generally, it's hollowed out of rock, it's leaky, and it don't have no HVAC. It don't heat up in the wintertime or cool in the summer. So what you're going to end up with is a real serious, uncomfortable problem. Oh, yeah, and they generally leak. And they have critters, little furry ones run around in there. And they, oh, what? They don't eat much. You just got to share your food with them. The interesting part about it is that when you come up on certain treason charges at the felony level and above, which most of these are, you also forfeit all of your constitutional rights, meaning they can put you in a hole like that and leave you there as long as they want. When you start shriveling up, you know, you get dishpan hands when you have your hands in the water, they wrinkle up. Think about being wrinkly all over. Oh, I went out of here. Well, you admit your crime and tell us who else was involved. No problem, we'll let you right out. So it's getting dicey and it's going to come to a head. Now, the reason I stipulate this is not me, but the timeline. I looked at the timeline on all this, and it shows I don't know what you'd call it, a bubble going right and popping. Ooh. Now, it didn't show bodies and stuff coming out, but it did show that the time is short for these people, and they need to do a combination of things. One is to become patriotic to the country they're supposed to be serving, which they have not proven so far. And two, out and rat on everybody and their mother-in-law, because in every case that I've ever looked at, I've looked at a lot of switching in government from democracy to some form of socialism. And in each and every case, the people that help them get to the socialism part mysteriously fell over and died or whatever, disappeared. Whoops. So these people that think they're doing all that and they are all that, surprise. Wow. Now you got an interesting picture of both what's going on upstairs and what's going on the planet. That should pretty much cover it. My show will cover the rest of it. That's Saturday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, someone asked me about your show. I think they need to know that you have a Blog Talk Radio show that's been going on for many years on Saturday. So we'll put that up there. What time is it at? Of course, I guess it depends what time zone you're in as to what time it is. But it's always out there on YouTube eventually. And what's this new horse hockey that's coming out? To pick up that term there from you, Drake. That's coming out on YouTube about protecting children with content. Like, is your show fit for children? I mean,
yeah, it's supposed to be real.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I don't know that children would even understand what we're talking about on this show, or in, it's this.
Well, mom and dad are supposed to teach their children well, and most of them ain't doing it. All right, there's the information in the chat box.
Oh, that's very small print here. Oh, Cosmic Voice on Blog Talk Radio, 3 p.m. Eastern Time.
It's the call-in number. You can listen online either way.
Okay, the call-in number is 515-605-9010.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we'll put that in the description of the video later too.
Wait a minute, I messed up.
Uh-oh.
Now how can I?
Which part did you mess up on? The phone number?
Yeah.
I'll just put in the correct phone number, and I will put it in the description box when I put up the video.
All right.
But it's also available on Facebook on Cosmic Voice. You can see it there when you have your show, because I've seen it advertised before.
Here's the correct number. It's 9810.
Well, let me read it again then. So the correct number is 515-605-9810.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, that's the call-in number for Drake's show on Saturday. And
Yeah.
he's going to be covering the parallax, right?
All kinds of fun. And I'm going to do some stuff they don't want me to do and see how it goes. This is going to be funners. Hey, I love hearing my favorite noise of all of the sounds in the whole planet is that of a politician's starch wrinkling crunch.
Alrighty then.
Okay.
Are you ready? Are you ready for questions?
Oh, I guess.
Unless you have more, go ahead. If you got more to say.
What you ask. It depends on what you ask. There's some things I won't answer, and I'll tell you all about that, but go ahead.
That's not a problem. I would just move on to the next question.
Okay.
It starts out with asking what can be done about millennials, otherwise known as the participation trophy generation. I'm very worried about, for all of us, when they take over running the world, will they be fixed as part of the transition at some point?
Yeah, they're going to be. Some of them are bad enough they have to be rewired slightly in their head. But other than that, as long as the wires go to the right spark plugs, you're in good shape. And that's what they got to just reconfigure some stuff along that line. So it don't run on 3 cylinders, or 5, but all 8. And the situation is simple. There's several forms of education and several levels. One is extreme. That's where you just have to shoot it and just end it. Most of them can be beat over the head with something to the point where oh yeah, you're right, don't hit me no more.
I'm sure it isn't all those vaccinations and GMO food and everything else they've been exposed to didn't contribute to their distorted thinking.
The thing I put out is called reality training.
Yes.
And it covers the ideology that each and every last one of these poor people have a serious problem, and that has to do with their ability to correlate the ideology with reality. You cannot spend twice the federal budget instantaneously to fix all the poor people or whatever you're doing. Doesn't work that way.
Well, just the way all the politicians spend whatever they want on themselves and become millionaires and billionaires in the process. That ain't right either.
Yeah, but that's only part of it, and that's only partially true. You got to understand that certain people say, "Oh no, I ain't getting in that." You have to understand. Many of them say, "No, I'm not backing that because of this," and all this other. So it's a ring around the rosy, convoluted, fast sale mess.
Okay. There's something I'd like to say too while we're talking about it, and that is, as far as Drake's books go, we are working on a website that is, is free, so it takes a little more doing to get done sometimes, because there's always glitches and free things. But anyway, we're working on a website where we'll put all of Drake's books up in PDF or Word format so that everybody will be able to get them, because I've just been inundated with emails to send out books, and it takes a lot of time. And we want his books out there. So that's what we're working on, is a website that you'll be able to go to, and it should be out within a week at the most, maybe less. We had one up and it had some bugs in it, and then so we had to unbug it. So anyway, we're working on that. We'll get it out there. So please be patient. We're doing the best we can with the time we got, and to get it out there for you. So it should be shortly. So hang on.
It's a likely story.
I wish I was better at computers than I am. I'm not that great. So
you don't got to be good at computers. That's what I like about. That's why I pay for Blog Talk. That's why I pay for my website. Mm-hmm. It's very simple. They take care of any kind of. If I got a question, I don't know how to do something, or I can't get it to act right, I'll call them up 24/7. Oh, it's so nice.
Well, maybe we could we put the books on your website, the militia website?
Probably could in the archive area.
That's another possibility. Well, we'll work on. We'll see. This is coming along.
Hold on. Dean Chambers? He's got access to the website.
Yeah.
Ask him whether or not he'd be, interested in being able to do that. He's only got a phone. You got a computer.
I know. That's why I hate to ask him.
He'd probably walk you through how to do it. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can do it on my website if you want. I don't care.
Well, we're working on this other one. We'll see what we can do here. I know Dean is inundated with things to do from just talking to him before. But we'll get it one way or another. So please be patient. It's coming.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Will Hoover cars have shields to protect us from crashes and other dangers like falling limbs, debris, and such?
The what?
The Hoover cars.
Hoover could.
They have a shield or something to protect.
How can I express this? The power system that drives it creates a shield. So yeah, you're protected to a reasonable amount. These things are also fully automatic in terms of avoiding things like a deer jumps out in the middle of the road, or another car ain't paying attention, is on the wrong side, or however, all of the usual things. It's similar to our ideology of a self-driving car, but these things actually don't touch the ground.
Helps. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question. About a year and a half ago, when you were still on the quantum shift, Dr. Mudzi stated that George told her that a flip was coming where people would realize how wrong they've been about everything. She said their attitudes toward us would change because they would realize we weren't crazy conspiracy theorists. So far, that doesn't seem to have happened. My question is, will that really happen? And when can we expect it?
Okay. Yeah, it's in process now. I'm initiating some of it by describing what the physical applications or collaterals are in terms of the transition itself. Number two, ET is going to want you to be familiar with them so that you don't freak out and grab the shotgun. It's hard to give out care packages when you're getting shot at. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the ideology is going to be a semi-public or public foray into ET world. In other words,
Yeah.
You can expect something on the Tonight Show from what I heard. We'll see if that's what they're going to do. The thing is that you're going to start seeing ETs that do not conform to what we look like.
That's kind of what we're trying to do with the short little ET video that we're putting out too. Is trying to.
Well, I got some more pictures yet too to send you. So.
Yeah, we'll keep doing that, and that helps a little bit anyway.
What you got to understand, what everybody has to understand, is that the scariest, worst case scenario that you've ever seen in any kind of sci-fi movie or read in any sci-fi book is exactly what these people look like. And I, being the bold person I am, I asked one of them, I said, hey, man, are we as ugly to you as you are to us? And he said, oh, absolutely, and busted up laughing. So they get the joke.
Okay, well, that's just because somebody is not good looking and from our standpoint doesn't mean that they don't have a good heart.
I didn't say no. These are all good people. If you can call them people. They don't look much like people.
Okay. What kind of technologies do the ETs have to help with dentistry?
Oh, how about regrowing your teeth?
Okay. How long after the transition will this be available?
After you learn how not to blow up the neighbor's cat in terms of the classes and whatnot, then a lot of these things will start being made available. They will be reading you or looking at you, seeing what it is that you need and the problems that you have with certain things while you're going through the classes. They have a pretty good list of what probably should be done in order to help somebody, whatever your condition may be.
Okay, you said Dre said that after we transition, that those that still need healing should go to their local clinic for help. All the new technologies will be available there. Will the ETs take control or manage the clinics, as in South Africa and Africa, where there is no help at any clinic, and the hospitals are very poorly managed?
All that is going to change, and by change I mean, when I say go to the clinic, you'd be going to a clinic and all of a sudden you find yourself off the planet being interviewed by a medical professional that looks rather odd, who wants to know what you want to come out with and how you feel about this and that and the other thing, and then they'll go accordingly. You may get only a part of what you've been requesting. In other words, you may not get the whole thing all at once. They want to see how you do with it first in a lot of the things. Consequently, what they're going to do is they're going to take care of that situation. People that would go to a hospital, and I use that term loosely, you're going to find out that it is no longer a hospital per se, but when you go into a certain room for certain treatment, you get into what's known as a jump room manual. They tell you, your instructions are simple. Open this door, go in, close the door. Walk across the room. Open that door, step through, and close the door. You will find yourself in one of the very best of ET medical situation. In short, you got something that's impossible to deal with as far as 20th century medicine goes. They'll take care of it.
Okay. Next question. Why can't care packages just be beamed down?
Jeez. Say that again.
Why can't a care package just be beamed down? Like Scotty, beam me up, beam down to the planet to where it's needed.
They want a personal interface in terms of what they do. And that's why they're not going to do that.
Okay. Next question. How far along are you with the project to make electricity boxes? And if you haven't time to put them together, is it possible that you could send parts and directions to people that might put it together themselves?
I'm planning to start on that this week. I had a bunch of things getting away. It's not just as simple as, flip the switch and away you go. It's a lot more complicated than that, and I have worked out the complication so that you can, when I decide to do this, flip the switch and off you go.
What is a breath, Aryan? Is it possible for a human to live off of prana, air, and sunlight alone?
It can be done, but you got to be really highly advanced in order to be able to do so.
Okay. Will the children and people that were victims of sex cults, abuse, and kidnapped for sex, slaves, body parts, satanic rituals, and God knows what, will they be returning to their families saying, this will do my heart good to know. I cannot fathom anyone harming intentionally a baby, a child, and a person for that matter.
All of the people that have been mistreated in all these forms are going to be healed before they return to their families. They'll be normal. Okay.
That's okay. That's good to know. Will every person, this is another similar question we've heard before, will everyone receive a package with the replicator and all?
Not exactly a package. You're liable to have a little stack of boxes on the porch, and each of you standing there going, would you answer the door?
Okay. Yeah, people sometimes we ask some of these questions, and we've already answered many of them before.
A lot of people need them repeated.
Okay. They're asking if the packages will contain something for our health, like a bracelet.
You can have, look, there can be a lot of devices and whatnot involved in this, but it's not necessarily a necessity to have a device. Think about that. Once you're totally cured and the possibility of you ever having that problem again is taken care of, you won't need copper fit.
Someone was asking would it be helpful if we're taking anything now that could be, helpful for us before the transition, like zeolite or monatomic gold or ormus or organic food or any of that kind of stuff. Is that helpful in any way?
Anything that helps you with your health, don't worry about it, as long as it does not have side effects. That's the rule. Most all of the known supplements, some of the stuff you named, if taken according to direction, don't have any side effects. So that means that they're okay to be used. Anything you can do to help maintain your health now makes it easier for the work AT's got to do. Okay.
So that's a good thing. It also makes you feel better usually.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. This question is, I hear continuously about the new energies emerging on the earth and the changes they are supposed to be bringing. I also hear folks talking about how these energies are affecting them. Some feelings are greatly exaggerated, I think. What about folks like me who have not felt any of the energy changes, ups and downs, these energies are supposed to be bringing? Are we benefiting from these new energies or just being left out? In other words, how come they don't feel the energies that others do?
Not everybody feels everything, first of all. Secondly, it doesn't matter whether you feel it or not. You get the benefit of it. Number 3, you're going to like this one. We've got a series of them coming up pretty soon. And they're not little. They're biggies. They're going to make people that are aware dizzy. They're going to make some people go crawl on the couch and go to sleep. I mean, these are going to be intense. These are huge. It will change the, everybody's familiar with the junkyard dog. What would happen if it all of a sudden became friendly? Because it knew what your intent and purpose was, just to scratch it behind the ear and make it feel good. However, if you're there to steal, you're going to get bit on the whatevers. I'm a nice guy, but you can't do that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So intent is important.
Yeah, intent. I do mean intense, and there's a whole series of them. Big one.
Okay.
I tell you what, you might even be able to see ripples in water. You might be able to hear glasses and plates rattle in the cabinet. Nothing's moving. It's just a vibratory change, okay?
And that's forthcoming.
It's supposed to be a bunch of them.
Wow. Okay.
Many. They didn't say how many. They just told me to tell everybody to fasten their seatbelts and get the popcorn out and watch.
Okay. Okay, next question. When QAnon began, one of the posts was, the corruption that will come out is so serious that deals must be cut for people to walk away. Otherwise, 70% of elected politicians would be in jail. Why should we care if corrupt politicians go to jail? And why are these traitors being given deals for crimes that would land us under jail?
Well, I think they're going to end up in a basement. I don't think that these guys are going to be turned as loose, making deals, whatever they want to call it, as everybody thinks. Now, you got to understand that the people that are adverse to us succeeding are putting out all kinds of fun and games. And they change the rules of the game while you're in the middle of playing it. Move the goalpost or whatever you want to call that. So they ain't cheating fair. So I would not worry about the horse hockey as much as you are. Okay?
Okay. How are we ever supposed to trust the government, both now and whatever it morphs into, when a two-tiered justice system is still going on while they're claiming to be clearing out corruption?
Well, what happens if you have a period of anarchy? That means no government, no authority for a short period of time in order to not just drain the swamp, but make sure all the bad guys, each and every last one of them, goes down the freaking tube. They don't want to go and they're holding on. Stuff them in there. Okay, so what you've got right now is a situation where that should be attended to in rather short order, I'm thinking. We'll see.
Okay. How will people be deterred from doing this again if deals are cut and criminals walk away?
The criminals ain't going to be walking away. They may look that way through this present justice system, but the changes to us in the transition also changes everything, the basis for everything else, to include justice, health, sociology, the whole bit. So they think they're scot-free and they're going down the sidewalk and all of a sudden somebody goes,
Whap.
hey, you're in a heap of trouble. Come with me. Bingo.
Okay. How are we to know? Okay, this is kind of this person going on here. Okay. How are we to know they're not covering for their buddies and perhaps themselves, especially when everything related to the plan is being done in secret, and we still see rampant corruption in the military and law enforcement ranks?
Well, you don't want to know you're coming, and you definitely don't want them to know that you're going to go and smack them upside the head, some of this. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of people who are going to be absconded with suddenly, without warning. All of a sudden, they'd be typing on the typewriter, on a keyboard or whatever they're using, and all of a sudden, somebody comes up and snatches them by the short hairs on the back of their neck and says, "Come with me. You got a problem to deal with." Okay, and this does not exclude any rank or position. Period. Think about that. You got a high level people in a whole bunch of places that are going to get their high level dumped on its donut posterior as they drag you out of the office. I got him.
Yeah, because it went on to say, because also even now there is still rampant corruption in Congress, the judicial branch, and even in the
yeah, you got fun games all over.
Okay. Yeah, it is. It's all over. It's pervasive. Okay, next question. Kentucky just had a very suspicious election outcome for governor compared to the other elected offices on their ballot. And the 2020 election is less than a year from now. When can we expect to see voter IDs and truly secure elections become the law of the land?
It's on its way. They already are in the process of configuring all that. along with checks and balance systems, etc. So if you don't have a valid voter's ID, you don't get to vote. You get screechy about it, they haul your butt off. Real simple, not complicated. And the ideology of voter ID has been put out a few times. And the interesting part about it is that some 70% say that it's not a problem to have a voter ID. Now, the voter ID can be a part of the driver's license, okay? And you have to be a legal alien in order to get one. The illegals don't apply. Now, there are lawsuits that I had stipulated to on my last show about the capability of localities to have that sanctuary situation. It's illegal. Consequently, it's being challenged in court. 2 or 3 of them right now. And any of one of those that wins in terms of not being allowed to have sanctuary situations, then has to atone for their sins. We get to nail them to a cross and put them on public display like they did one time in Germany when they hung them from anything that would hold them up.
Wow. Because, there's been a problem with the whole system, especially even the DMV, the all-cap name being a person that is trafficked through the judicial system for monetary reasons.
Uh-huh.
That's a big...
Who do you know that is suing the DMV over their right to exist? Because according to the Federalist Papers that have not been repealed, within the Bill of Rights, you have the, here you go, free right to travel, unhindered, untaxed, etc. Ooh, and there ain't nobody out there that got the balls or whatever to stand up and say, prove in federal court that you got the right to exist. Oh, we're in a state aid. I don't care what you are. Here's the paperwork. Deal with it. Did you know that is an applicable defense in court? That's first. Number 2, did you know that no court can lay a fine or penalty upon a person without first being allowed to address the injured party? Number 3, nobody, this includes the prosecutor, the judge, the officer involved, nobody who is not a disinterested third party can testify to anything. Period. Ooh. They don't like that. They hate that.
They've been getting away with this for so long, though, and I've seen...
No. There have been several police departments that have been put out of business. Think about that very carefully. Put out of business because of this sort of stuff. So, they have lost their police powers on the interstate, among other things. They can go ahead and police the county all they want.
Well, they need to come here in the state of Arizona and have a talk with some of these police departments.
Whom do you know who would be interested in riding the ship of state? Think about it. Somebody decided to make a big left turn out of everything, and it screwed it up. You got to find somebody. Start looking. It might take you a while. Might not. I mean, some of the wealthy don't like it any better than we do.
Well, okay. Why must we jump through all these hoops to prove ourselves worthy of transitioning and traveling the stars when there's people like the Anunnaki, Dracos, Greys, and Reptilians running amok through the cosmos?
No, they don't. They're all under confinement. They try to come out of confinement, they get uncreated. That means they cease to exist, pretty much. Number 2, all the hoops are normal, standard operation procedure for a planet such as Earth and its attendant solar system. This is what they do standard with everybody. It ain't just us, everybody. Now, we do need to start cleaning up our own nest. We do need to take hold of things. We do need to exert certain forms and amounts of control that have not been seen in a long time. They call it common sense. Why do they call it common sense when it seems to be so rare? Well, let's pull it. Let's go. Let's everybody get on the other end of the chain. See if we can't pull that plug out of the stopper out of the bottom of the tub and let the swamp drain. Okay, what would happen if they don't want to go? We could take a hammer over and on their fingers and say, "Hey, guess what? Let go, or I'm gonna hit you hard." They let go. Down the toilet they go. See what I'm saying? Okay, now each individual state has to address this. Plus, it has to be addressed in federal court. Now, the lawsuits that I understand are not civilian courts; they're federal courts. Big difference. Big difference in terms of what happens. So, that's Judicial Watch. It's on their website.
Well, a lot of people don't know how to do all this and are fearful of it.
You got a little thing up there that says search, and it's got a magnifying glass. Put Judicial Watch in there and click enter and watch it go.
Okay. All right, you said there's one race of humans on Earth that's different from all the others, but declined to name them, which I understand. I have 3 questions related to them. Number 1, are they real beings with a soul like we are?
Yes.
Okay, are we not real beings with a soul?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Are they a threat to the rest of us in any way?
No.
Will they be permitted to remain on the earth after the transition and into the golden age?
As long as they act right, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Might be somebody really interesting to talk to if you think about it.
Really? Okay. Here's another one. Do ETs like the Pleiadians and Andromedans just allow whomever to roam freely on their planets like is happening here? Or do they control their borders somehow like President Trump is trying to do with the wall?
The answer is no, no, and no. Now, most of the pirates and bad guys have been relegated to a planet that they cannot get off of. They don't have the capability to build something to get off of it. And would be considered a prison planet in terms of you can check in, but you can never, leave kind of thing. And they have been forcibly checked in. If they come off planet in any way, shape, or form, they're immediately attacked by extraordinarily superior forces and destroyed. They know this. Most of them want to live, so they're trying to figure out how to grow beans or whatever. You have a load of people, entities here who are not human and not doing the best they can for the human race. Those are being chased, sought after, and absconded with in large numbers rapidly. Within about a month, we probably won't have any of the bad guys left on our planet. Hopefully, okay.
Oh, okay. Because that's kind of an answer to the next question, which was, will we ever get full control of who is allowed on our planet if indeed this is our planet?
Yeah, that comes after the transition, and we get to the point where we can be considered as part of the Galactic Confederation. Once we are accepted into that means that we, us, you and me, all of us here, will make the decisions as to what the condition of our planet will be. Now, one of the things that is going to come up is that it is largely going to be returned to its natural state. Reason being is that replicators do not use things like iron ore, coal, wood, and all that. So all of these things are going to go back to wherever they started from. But the type of energies used by ET are similar to the ones I'm going to tap into. Most people have heard of dark energy and dark matter. Well, dark energy is what I'm going to be tapping into, and that is about as unlimited as all of existence. Okay.
Okay, wow. Okay. What's going to happen to Roger Stone?
What's going to happen to Roger Stone? Well, he's going to have to fight for it, but he should be able to get free.
Okay, it says his trial judge is an Obama appointee that ruined the Benghazi case and looks to be well on course to ruin his case too.
Well,
This kind of judge is going to be removed, though, aren't they?
it's very simple. You make the judge into a defendant in the case.
Yeah, that's what needs to happen. Yeah, they think they're untouchable. They really do.
Exactly, and they're not. There are varying ways that you can cause a judge to sit up and pay attention and be lucid in the process. So, depends on how hard you hit them over the head with a 2x4.
Yeah. I think we need some examples made so people realize that really can happen.
Now you got it. What I have been mentioning and suggesting is that they pick one out of each of the group. That might mean a half a dozen, give or take. Well, what happens if somebody's at the podium speaking and the federal marshals come up and I got some bracelets. Uh-oh. Time to kill the dog.
Hang on, no.
Oh boy.
Sorry about that.
And we're recording all of this dog hollering and stuff too. Right?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if I can edit it or not, but anyway, I only have so much control here.
All the control you decide you have.
I got to hang on to them then. Sarah Carter, people walk by the window and you can see out, and I can't close it all the way. So Sarah Carter is reporting that the Democrats intend to impeach President Trump on Christmas, which is really close to New Year's. QAnon came out and said indictments are coming in 2019. You've said we're supposed to transition this year. That gives us around 6.5 weeks to New Year's Eve. What about the trial in the Senate? Will it take place or is something else planned? If something else is planned, can you give us a hint?
Oh, wow, it's very easy, very simple. Look at the reality of it. Yeah, according to the law, you have to have 2/3 of the House accept the proposition that the president should be impeached. Oops, you can't take it. You're not going to get half of the Republicans to go along with it. That's first. So it ain't ever going to get to the Senate. Won't happen. Can't. They don't have the votes. Now, as to all the other parts of all of this, as that vote fails, the next vote is not going to be a House vote, but a Senate vote. As to the treason charges against all of these people who are involved in this attempted coup against both the president and his office. Ooh, we're going to have to build a prison to hold them all. Out of 400 and whatever it is in the House of Representatives, this many, 7, are considered clean enough to vote on constitutional matters.
Is that pathetic or what? That's pretty pathetic.
It don't have to. I don't know how far you got to, play the game for people to, catch on to the idea that there's a problem there. But it's not a problem.
Okay, what about the GCR? Where does that fit in the sequence of events?
GCR is ready to be fully initiated. It's not quite done yet in terms of, oh man, you would not believe. Figure enough paperwork. I want you to consider this. You see the size of my office? Think about it being full, floor to ceiling with paperwork, and that's where the GCR, that's what kind of fun and games the GCR is. So they're finalizing the end of the paperwork trail, and they're going, process.
Yeah, don't you love paperwork?
It's like a marathon. So anyway, what is going on is that it's getting ready to happen.
Good. Okay, that's good news. These indictments QAnon is referencing, will they be household names? Perhaps big names? Is it going to be a one size twosie or perhaps a big chunk or all of the 130,000 sealed indictment? We already know.
You're going to be shocked as to the You're going to be shocked as to whom they decide to play the game with first. A lot of people recognize these names as household names. Okay, what happens when you walk up to one of them who is publicly speaking, whether they're addressing the House of Representatives or whomever? Think about guy walking up and say, "I got handcuffs for you." Turn around, put your hands behind your back. You're going to jail. Do what, dude? Turn around and put your hands behind your back. I got a nice shiny pair of bracelets just for you. And then when we get done with that, we get to go for a little bitty walk. Think about that in public. Think about who? Think about Pelosi and her holier than thou crap. Well, they wanted her out of there anyway. Maybe they ought to take her first. Just one would do. But it needs to be something that people will go, holy moly, they did it to her.
Really? That did you hear about Mitt Romney and his family? Was that
What
true?
about it?
That they were gunned down in Mexico?
Yeah, I heard. I hear all kind of silly stuff like that.
I don't know if it's true or not, but anyway, that's what I heard.
Whenever I get information on the internet, that's suspicious to me, I write one word: validation. Okay. Show me the documents. Show me the newsreel. I mean, got to be something. Now, the problem with newsreels or videos is that they now have the capability of making a person look just like you and doing really nasty things. So bear that in mind.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know what to think about that. Anyway, can you give us some sort of rough sequence of events on what to expect? Is all this stuff going to be crammed into like a 1 or 2 week span?
All of everything?
Yeah, the rats and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, all of everything is very simple. Like I said, they can take one all by itself and change the game. If they take more than one, then everybody else is going to try to jump on a Learjet and leave. And that's going to be fun because at that point, then the emergency gets declared and the Iron Curtain falls down. And what happens is that only inbound flights that are short on gas are allowed to land. If you land here, not in Canada, you get to stay here until we're done. Ooh. The timeline of events before the end of the year.
Okay. Wow.
I've been told not to be specific for reasons. Okay.
When will people around the world see some relief from the corruption in their countries?
When we transition.
Okay. This next question is about multidimensionality. Please elaborate on what this allows. True, go into all dimensions and be that first is a rock or plant, second is an animal, third's human, etc. But are you able to be Are you able to astral project and violate human beings? Hierarchy or body experience? That's kind of a weird question, but anyway.
All right. Very simply, traveling dimensionally is different than astral projection. By that, I mean that it is a lot more intense and a lot more all-consuming. Number two, there's only maybe half a dozen of us on this entire planet that have the capability of traveling interdimensionally. I'm one of them. Okay. If some mucky muck at the higher levels decides to act out and be stupid and cause humankind a problem, I go snatch it up by the hair on its bony little head or by its neck or whatever and put it into detention. They're not allowed to do that. They know that. I mean, it's like learning as a little kid right and wrong. And they absolutely know this is wrong. So they do it anyway. Sorry about your stuff. But that's one of the things that I do. In terms of interdimensionality, going up like 3, 4, 5, 6, it takes an effort to change from 3 to 4 and 4 to 5, 5 to 6. It takes an effort, okay? So you expend this effort. Now, here's the deal. If you are at 4 or 5 and you're going to come down to, say, 3 and give us a helping hand at doing something, each dimension is like getting scalded with boiling water in terms of pain. It's that pain. It hurts like a mother to go down.
Wow.
Nobody has really figured that out, except that you have to give up certain of your higher capabilities in order to be able to travel down. So that process may be what causes the pain. I don't particularly know. Rar, rar, rar. Rar, rar.
That little rascal.
Yeah, it's very similar to a baby crying.
Come on.
That's one of the noises of life. Uh-oh, here she goes again. Jumping up in the middle of a video
Sorry.
show. Just, ladies and gentlemen, look at
I'm
what
trying to keep him quiet. It's difficult. I'm here by myself with them, so what can I do?
Excuse me.
If I lock them in another room, then they're on the door scratching and crying to get in. So it's kind of damned if I do and damned if I don't. When someone asked a question about Trudeau, all Drake said was he should be in the ocean floating. Can you give us a little more information than what should happen? I know what you meant. You meant he would be shark bait, right?
That's a funny question. Ask it again. It sounds,
Okay. They're trying to figure out, and you give us more information about Trudeau and what should be happening with Trudeau.
Stick him in the toilet and see if he floats. I bet he sinks. And if he sinks, flush it.
Okay, that's just another way of saying shark bait. Okay, I get it.
It's the biggest pansy I know of in terms of a head of state anywhere on the planet. And he'll do whatever it takes not to feel any pain or to make his snowflakes start to melt or any of that. So, he can go play with himself somewhere as far as I'm concerned. I think he's used to it. And I could say other things, but I won't.
Okay. I know. I've read some of the things that he's been up to, and it's pretty bad. There was a group getting together to help humanity once the RV occurred. A lot of what is being talking about, it's supplying food, shelter, and medical care. Once we transition, this is all going to change. Can you give me some idea of what the best projects post-RV would be to help humanity?
Anything that needs to be done to alleviate the suffering of the condition. That's it, period. We're going to start in the worst places and go from there. Mm-hmm. I say we, because our group, the K group, we are the equivalent to first responders on a monetary basis. Okay.
Okay. Ken Dunn said on 11/12 show that we're moving to the year 1654. Is that true? And if it's true, can you explain what is meant by that?
It's not 2654 maybe, but not 1654. Kent has a problem in terms of not getting his numbers straight, among other things. But I'm not going to fault the guy. What I'm saying is, yes, we are. But in 1654, there were a whole bunch of fun and games that went on. I'll let everybody look it up. I'm not doing your homework for you. The same can be said in timelines on 2654. The 300-year differential, look at the progress we've made in the past 300 years, erase it. Okay? Then go to the point of the judgment made in right around that year, where the ancient technologies were eliminated. And by that, I mean, if there was something that did something, they destroyed it. They blew it up, and blasted it apart, whatever. The 1654 is not as bad as the 341 symposium they had, where they decided to screw up everybody's mind with a thing called religion. So
Okay.
if you go ahead and put it in your search engine, 1654, and you'll see what happens. Okay.
Okay. When do the benefits to our health take place, such as the need for glasses, etc.? Is that after the transition to 4D?
We transition to 4D. You probably won't need glasses of any kind anymore.
That would be nice. I like that.
Well, I've had to wear glasses all my life to be able to see. I had cataract surgery. Now I can see. I don't have to wear glasses for just regular everyday things. Now I use them to read sometimes, but it depends on whether I'm reading, writing, or what I'm doing.
I need mine mostly for reading too, especially small print. Sometimes I need 2 glasses for small print if it's small enough.
They do that on purpose so that you don't read it.
Read it, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Will our pets, livestock, and receive health improvements and lifespans dramatically increase after the transition to 4D?
Yes.
Okay. Will ET immediately contact us and provide the replicators if needed right after the transition to 4D?
ET will stop by and drop off replicators to those most in need first. After that, then the rest of the planet can have them. Now, if ET, as I see it, if ET is smart, we can put together a thing where we manufacture our own replicators using their technologies and distribute them ourselves. That'll give a bunch of people a job that enjoy doing. Can't you just imagine grandma's specialty baked product, be that a pie or a cake, in perfect replication? All of them, you can make 15 or 20 of them, and it doesn't cost you
Okay. What is going to happen to all the nuclear reactors, and will we be given energy replacements right after the transition to 4D?
We're going to get rid of atomics altogether. It's that atomics are largely outlawed throughout the galaxy. The reason being is what they do. The types of energy that ET uses is a capture method for dark energy. In other words, their battery, when you charge it up, it's good for 20 to 25 kilowatts for 100 years. So.
Wow. Okay. Will the world governments release their power over us peaceably or try to stop the 4D benefits?
They can't. They don't have anything to say about it.
Okay.
They wish they did in some cases, but they didn't. They don't, and it's fun to watch them squirm.
Yeah, it will be. For a change, to watch them squirm instead of us, right?
Yeah. Got it.
Okay, next question. I just watched a documentary where Walt Disney and Adolf Hitler appear to be the same person.
No.
Okay.
Not the same.
It says, okay, scientifically, their ears and facial structure are identical. It appears, according to this documentary, that Walt Disney played the part of Adolf Hitler. So you're saying that's not true. It's not. He wasn't the same person.
No, Adolf was his own nutcase.
Okay.
Disney was his own childishness. A big difference in that.
Okay. Okay, you have mentioned when transitioning to 4D, we would see our loved ones that have passed on, but a lot is not very clear. Are they privy to the same things promised to us, such as healing, being younger, etc.? If so, have they already encountered it and ahead of us with that?
Yes, sir. Were you to die right now today, you transition to 4D and you would know everything. All of the things that I've talked about as to advantages and helps and repairs and all that happen when you transition. So they've transitioned. So therefore, they got a leg up on us in some ways. Many of them may actually come back as our teachers. That'd be interesting having grandpa that never accepted any of this silly shit. Is now an expert in the field.
Wouldn't that be something? Okay.
Yeah.
If one encounters death in a painful process for a case by case, how does that soul feel? Is it instant? Elaborate on pain threshold for that soul during the death process. Can you elaborate on that?
Death process is not painful, depending on what causes it. Okay.
Like if you got hit by a car, that would be painful.
Okay. That would be a shock to the system. And I mean, both of them, biological and spiritual, but not necessarily something that is going to be extraordinarily painful. That does not mean that you're not going to scream when you get hit by a car. Ah! Okay, well, supposedly nobody wants to die, but if you're going to go to a lot better place, maybe I'll step out in front of the car on my own. So no, and death, when you actually start getting ready to transition through biological ending, in other words, the thing you walk around in quits, okay? Mm-hmm. The interesting part about it is that you get this sensation of falling when it's actually the opposite. Every bit of energy, all the way from your fingernails where you don't even hardly feel it, to the hair on your head and whatnot, it all goes into one little spot. And what you feel is the rising. You actually rise. So, and it weighs between 1.78 and 2.8 ounces in terms of the energy itself, your soul and spiritual connection and all that. Let's see here. And there are ways to collect said energies, which are not exactly kosher by any means, but you will feel a connectedness to everything as soon as you get totally free of your body. And by that, I mean every living thing, or that everything that has been alive, to include metals and plant, all kind of plants, animals, bugs, etc. It's interesting that this is an individual process. The individual goes through it by themselves. You're just as all alone and naked as the day you was born.
Yeah, you're still connected to everything.
Yeah, and the only thing is you retain all your memory. When you get up to where you're going, and this is something that's fun too, told my dad, I said, well, that's cool. He said, what? Said, everybody's got clothes on. Clothes are material to babies. They take them off all the time. So the last I remember of my father, he's dressed exactly that same way. He said, you changed my clothes. I said, I did not, neither. I'm not guilty. And the neat part about it is that my mother was dressed the way she liked to be dressed when she would go to she had a little cliff with a tree on it, where she could see Mount Capitan down in New Mexico, and she just dearly loved it. So that was the first place she went, and 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 what's funny is they know up there they are imbued with all of the knowledge of everything that had been going on, irrespective of what it was or who did it or who said it or whatever. So they know everything, and that's really I know what was going on when Aunt Matilda acted like an asshole, or whatever the situation may be. And yeah, you get to see them. I would imagine that when the transition happens, there's going to be one bodacious barbecue party upstairs.
The gathering.
Yeah.
What happened? Oops. Sorry.
No. Supposedly you can drink beer and all that sort of stuff and get just as happy as you did down here. So
that's if you like beer.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Well, what happened to prisoners at the time of the transition? Will they continue to be in jail or will they be free?
With the whole thing transitioning, I could best recommend that they probably will remain incarcerated but only for a few minutes. They'll be taken out of there and taken to where they need to go in order to get fixed.
It need to be fixed.
Yeah. And many of them didn't do anything. I mean, there are a large load. I mentioned on my show about 4 months ago that with the legalization of marijuana in states, that there was going to have to be a large number of prisoners that are going to have to be released, charges dropped, records expunged for marijuana crimes. And that's taking place presently. So,
yeah, that's horrible what has happened to people as a result of that. I read about some guy got 30 years for a joint or something like that. You know, that's just obscene. Now, the judge that did that, you know, he needs to be the one that goes into jail next. But anyway.
Okay.
Are the U.S. impeachment hearings delaying the transition?
No.
Okay. Wow, that was the last question.
Yay!
Wow. Do you have anything to add or anything else that you might want to tell us?
Well, just be expectant of the good things that you know can be or are coming or are supposed to start happening. Be rejoiceful that we're put in a situation where people are going to learn the hard way that some of this stuff that they've believed all their lives has been nothing more than a con game. Ooh, there's going to be a whole bunch of pissed people. But here's the thing. There are a lot of people who think they are protected, safe, whether it's because of their position or where they're at or what they are.
Yes.
And that's no longer going to be the case. It don't matter if it's the Pope. It don't matter who it might be. If Trump drives drunk, he gets ticketed, and now they probably give him a ride home instead of putting him in jail. But he's going to have a bodacious ticket. That's a $600 fine first offense, generally. I mean, a lot of the legalities that we have problems with, specifically driving infractions that are now treated as felonies. What a load of crap that is. Oh, you can make it a Class D misdemeanor, but don't go to felony. Don't ruin somebody's life for the rest of their life because they're stupid. Mm-hmm. Let them learn the hard way. They bump their head against the wall a few times, and the fine keeps going up and up and up. Pretty soon they got to have they got to start selling off all their gold to make the fine. Well, I mean, it goes on and on and on. They're pretty drastic.
When it comes to that kind of thing, there is no justice, because a fine of $600 to somebody who lives on $11,000 a year versus a fine of $600 to somebody who's living on $50,000 a year is quite a difference. Just like bonds and all of that needs to change.
Oh, now, wait a minute. The bond situation is being addressed. It's a slow process, but they're figuring out how to release people who normally would be needing a bond. All right, that's first. Second, and this is you're going to love this one, the judges can increase by whatever amount they deem appropriate to the individual's income as to fines. So that little podunk itty-bitty $600 fine might balloon to $60,000 or $600,000 or $6 million, depending on how much the turkey makes. Now, think about that very carefully. Things are in the process of changing over. You're going to have to give it a little time. You have to be patient, and I know it ain't easy. The Lord knows it ain't, especially when can you imagine how funky it is from my point of view when I know the secret shit that nobody else does?
And you can't say it.
Wonder why I drink sometimes. Anyway, the generality is that all of the things that have been promised to have been being taken care of are at the very least being initiated now. It's starting. Oh,
that's good. That's good. We need that. We really need some equity.
Turn on the TV and bring lots of popcorn.
I'm so ready for the transition, and so is so many other people.
Yeah.
I welcome it. But
So that's one of your fuzzies right there?
yeah, this is one of my this is a little guy who thinks he's a big guard dog.
Oh, that's easy. You got to chill. What you need is a bark collar.
Yeah, I just might have to get him one.
It works.
He doesn't want to sit here.
As inexpensive as $20.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, you got to look.
During the show, I just might have to get one. You're going to have to learn how to like that.
Hey, it's been great to be on the show.
Thank you so much. I apologize for the noise from the dog. We'll get that figured out here. But thank you for listening, and thank you, Drake, for your wisdom and answers to questions. And we'll see you next week.
All right.
Don't forget about Drake's show on Saturday. We want to do that. Okay.
Bye.
Talk Radio. Bye. Take care.